You may have heard about CityWorks Expo. For years now, we've been bringing people together to share big ideas for better places. Expo connects innovators across the community and around the globe through an ongoing series of events, conferences, and social media. And our goal is to inspire and support people like you, the ones who have a passion for making their neighborhoods, communities, and cities better places to live, work, and play. Check us out at cityworksxpo.com to learn more. Become a part of the Expo community and share your story. You never know who you will inspire with your big ideas.
So it wasn't too long after I came to Expo last year that I was back in Akron, and the phone rang in Akron, and it was a guy named Dan Gilbert. And there's two big Dan Gilberts right now. One is the happiness researcher from Harvard that we see on the Prudential commercials, and the other is the one who owns Quicken Loans and the Cleveland Cavs and 117 other companies. So it was the Cleveland Cavs one.
The latter.
The latter. And he said, you know, when we met 3 years ago, I knew I wanted you to come work for me, and time moves very fast in my world, and so would you come to a Cavs game? Went to a Cavs game, and now I sit in the office next to Dan Gilbert. So he has been, with the money that's come from building the one of the largest home loan companies in the United States, he's actually been working on his hometown. His grandfather was an entrepreneur in the city. His dad was an entrepreneur in the city. And he channels, I think in some ways it's the world's largest social enterprise. Yeah. So he takes the profits of the lending company and buys up the real estate that nobody else would take.
Yes, I'm familiar with the narrative.
And
on a very small scale.
So now I'm special problem solver for anything ranging from lawsuits to repurposing our entrepreneurial initiatives and everything in between.
So check out the crazy scale of this. So what Dan Gilbert's done is bought 80 skyscrapers in Detroit. So it's a big bet. So lots of the cool kids, like Josh, have been going up to Detroit now. I mean, it has just been one of, you know, along with post-Katrina New Orleans, Detroit and Flint have been where an unbelievable amount of energy has been spent exploring in the toughest circumstances imaginable how you turn a place around and repurpose a place and really kind of reimagine a place. From a higher altitude, you're going to get into lots more of this in detail, but at a higher altitude, can you tell us a little bit about what you're seeing that might have applicability to the rest of us?
Yeah, so it's starting to make sense to me. You know, in some ways I've been doing this for 17 years. I didn't really understand it. It only makes sense when you look backwards at it. But, you know, and in following medical researchers, we have this general understanding of leukocytes, healing blood cells, right? And so when you have something going on in your body, that there's leukocytes that go to that problem. And what I see in Detroit is these sort of leukocytes sort of coming in, and people that are just sort of showing up and saying, I'm here to help. I don't know why. I just sort of got this subconscious transmission.
Road to Damascus moment, right?
And so all over the city right now, both people that are showing up and people that have been there for a long time are having this leukocyte moment where it's sort of quickly shifting from a, oh, woe is us, to we got this under control and things are going to be all right.
So the hashtag leukocyte moment is, I don't think, ever been used. So if anybody wants to give that a try, this would be the time to do it. So I think that's so interesting. So following on two life sciences guys, that notion of the physiology of a place and how, you know, the organs and the organisms and the systems interact and for a healthy place. In terms of previews for the sort of stuff that you might like to do with folks during the deep dives, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I'm wide open. As we figured out last time, we can go into the deep and philosophical side of why we do this, but we can also talk a lot about pragmatics of ideas to action to make better cities. In Akron, the work that I ended up doing was around population loss and shifting Knight Foundation's investments towards that specific issue, because they were doing a lot of symptom treating. They were worrying about the potholes and the edges of buildings and things that were really coming from loss. So happy to talk about that. Happy to talk about no-cost interventions. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to stay really in touch with those right now.
Because you've got so much money at your disposal,
right?
Which
Which is
right.
in some ways a curse. We think a little too big in the operation that I'm in right now, and I think that's part of why I'm there, is to remind us that there are things that we do that don't have to cost anything. And I'm really interested in a couple of things right now. I think that we sort of danced over desegregation in America. And so I'm really interested in really talking about meaningful strategies for desegregation. And people are sort of calling it fluffy things right now. Like a lot of my friends at Knight Foundation are calling it economic integration. But the truth is, we do better when we live together, but we don't choose to do that often enough. So I'd love to talk about that. And I'm sure there's other stuff that we can come up with.
Perfect. Thank you. So take advantage of that opportunity to hang out with Josh. Super interesting. He's worked in detail with the Knight Foundation, et cetera. And so he's got a perspective on all that sort of stuff for those of you that are interested.